Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this.
Rainfall as they're tracking through the southwestern counties. Now, another part of Texas we're going to be watching is West Texas, getting into the Big Bend area and then into the hill country. This is where we are likely to see some strong storms later on this afternoon. They're going to be firing up along a dry line, and yesterday these storms were great hail producers, producing some very large hail up to around 2 inches in diameter. So again, that's going to be one of the main threats, along with some gusty winds that are going to be out of these storms as we get the day going. We got to get that daytime heating and get to this afternoon. This is where all the available energy is. So we have the moisture in place, we have the energy available, we have this front and a dry line that's going to be intersecting there, and so that is why we're kind of honing in on that part of Texas as we go through the day. Well, as we go through time, going into about 4 or 5 o'clock, you can see some of those storms are just outside the Austin area, getting around College Station, so just south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That front's going to blow up some of those storms just south of DFW, and then we're going to be watching this area from Midland all the way down through Del Rio. That'll be an area we'll be watching for some unruly thunderstorms as we head through the afternoon. You can see as they just blossom as we go into about the 8 o'clock hour. So then as we lose that daytime heating, those storms will slowly start to fall apart, sag south, but they'll still be packing a pretty big punch. So again, especially as they head down toward Houston, great rainfall rates are possible as we get down toward the Texas coast, as well as the hail and the gusty winds as we continue to watch these storms rolling out of West Texas as well as rolling down into southeast Texas. So a lot going on across the entire state as we head through the latter part of today. So again, it's going to be a big hail threat, especially around Midland to Del Rio, and then just to the southwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's going to be one of our main threats. And Jackie, this isn't the only place that we're seeing severe weather. Of course, the southern plains have seen a bunch of it this week, but also the northeast.
Yeah, so all over the place. But, you know, Texas has really been getting it harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
In fact, more severe weather reports in Texas than any other part of the country so far this year, and they're beating a little bit intense here as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. So here's the outlook area. It does stretch from about Baltimore down I-95 into Washington, D.C., Richmond, Charleston, Knoxville, into the western Carolinas. That threat goes all the way down through Alabama and into parts of Louisiana. Now, the risk overall is relatively low. Our air mass is actually a little more stable than we were initially thinking. So any storms that do go severe, we think that will be a pretty isolated incident. But that said, a couple warnings could get issued here this afternoon. As we look at the big picture, you can see the lightning strikes here across Tennessee into eastern parts of Kentucky at this hour. Not much in terms of convection up towards the north of all of this. It's just a little too cool for that type of action. As we head through the rest of the afternoon, we'll start to see more widespread showers and thunderstorms. It's really the ones out here, out ahead of that main line, that will likely be a little more intense. They'll likely bring some heavy downpours, some frequent lightning. Of course, those are dangers, even if the storms don't reach severe limits. So something to keep in mind, that travel is not going to be great up and down I-95, especially this evening. So watch out for that if you have plans out in New York City, if you have plans out in Boston. That wet weather is all going to be moving on through here. This is all part of a cold front that's sweeping in across the region that is going to make its way all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. Now, much of the east could actually take on a little bit of rain. We've been fairly dry the last week or two. That said, it's going to be more about the rainfall rates, and when you get that little extra lift with elevation here across parts of the Appalachians, your chances go up for getting a little bit of flash flooding. Chris?
And we've seen what thunder.
Warm temperatures. You just have to watch out for those water conditions. So welcome back. Let's take a look at forecast conditions for tomorrow and your Saturday. And to Pensacola Beach, temperatures are going to be in the upper 80s, a mix of sunshine and clouds. That is perfect beach weather, if you ask me. Hot enough where you sit there and after a while you just got to get into the water and cool off, and then you're going to warm back up, getting back out into the sunshine. As we head towards the Big Bend area, we'll go down towards Clearwater, Florida. We're looking at temperatures of the lower 80s, so a little bit cooler here, but still not too bad. 82 degrees, pretty comfortable if you're hitting the beach. Notice the onshore flow here. We're going to have to watch out for that risk of rip currents into Miami. 87. Look at that. No rain in the forecast here. Florida, of course, looking at some dry conditions over the next couple of days. So this is great news. Oftentimes we'll get those afternoon pop-up showers and thunderstorms, and I really think those chances are pretty diminished. Hot one for you. Daytona Beach, 92 degrees. That gets pretty toasty. So sometimes you got to take little breaks and certainly spend time in the shade. And don't forget about the sunscreen, SPF 30 or better. Myrtle Beach, one of the most popular places to go for a destination over Memorial Day weekend. Looking pretty good here today. Tomorrow there may be a couple of pop-up showers and thunderstorms, but upper 70s on the way for your Sunday and Monday, and looking a little bit drier here then as well. And we mentioned the rip current risk. You do have that moderate risk at least along the Atlantic coast here to the Panhandle areas. And notice it's high up towards the Outer Banks region and southern parts of the North Carolina coastline. Make sure that you're at a lifeguarded beach. Always pay attention to those flags, Colleen. That, you're always better off that way, right? Or just stick into the resort or hotel pool if you have one.
Yeah, I was about to say the pool's always a great option. And speaking of, a lot of folks going to be traveling for Memorial Day weekend, so you may want to give yourself a little bit of extra time, whether you're hitting the roadways or you're hitting the sky there. It looks like it's going to be a little more crowded than what it was a year ago today. Let's talk about our big 3 weather stories that we're going to be talking about. First off, we do have a chance for some severe weather, mainly here in the state of Texas. West Texas, we're watching closely. Also a chance for a few marginally severe thunderstorms up across areas of Montgomery, Atlanta, up through the D.C. area. That's going to be as we head through the rest of today. Also, tomorrow through Monday, the center of the country looking at a lot of rainfall. Look at this, storminess, showers and thunderstorms across the Texas Panhandle, and then getting up into the plains all the way up to parts of Nebraska. So we're going to have a little bit of rain on tap for parts of your Memorial Day weekend. And then get this. You think about Memorial Day, you're thinking the beach, you're thinking sunshine, warm temperatures. That's not going to be the case. Much of the country below average, 5 to 20 degrees below average. Temperatures maybe only getting into the 50s for high temperatures across parts of the Northeast. So we're going to be watching that as well. You may need a jacket this Memorial Day. And Jacqui, right now we're tracking some storms that are occurring for this Friday.
Yeah, you show the severe weather outlook areas, and both of those areas are active already, only one of which producing severe weather, but still we're getting thunderstorms into the northeastern quarter. So let's start out where the worst of the weather is right now, and that's into central parts of Texas. Look at all the lightning. So really, really electric storms here. Things are firing up to the south and west of Dallas. We've got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings which are in effect right now, including you in Boss, Coyle, and Hamilton counties, likely producing some large hail and some damaging winds with that storm. The warning until 12:45. And then there's another one, almost a twin cell, that's just off towards your west for Comanche. That one likely producing hail greater than an inch or so in diameter. On top of that, we're getting really heavy rainfall rates, so there's a flash flood warning in effect across the region too. Now the broader area is under a severe thunderstorm watch, meaning conditions are favorable for severe storms to develop, likely producing large hail and damaging winds. That will be our big concerns today. That does include parts of the I-35 corridor from Waco to just north of the Austin area. So our cold front is on the move. It's sinking southward right now, and more severe storms are expected for the rest of the afternoon and into tonight. And in addition to the watch areas, western parts of Texas and eastern parts of New Mexico, those will be the big areas to watch today where storms could potentially cause some damage. Here's a look hour by hour at what we can expect as we go through the afternoon. Storms becoming more prevalent perhaps around the Austin area, but also look at some of these individual storms across the border in New Mexico, working their way across potentially the Rio from time to time. So we're expecting things to stay active and unsettled and pushing southward, and then also kicking up along the dry line into the Panhandle of Texas. So things very active into the central parts of the country. Chris, we've had severe weather each and every day this week, and today no exception. Again, where so much of the country was so chilly. So embrace it because, July is coming. July is still coming, and it's going to be feeling like July in parts of the West. So I mentioned Portland, one of the places where the temperatures are really going to heat up. By Tuesday, we could be reaching 91 degrees. And not only are you going to be hot here, Portland, you've been really dry. In fact, we're not expecting any rain in the forecast into early next week. So as we finish off the month of May, so long as we don't get any more rainfall, we don't think that we will, this will end up being the driest spring on record. So we really need rain in some of these areas. High pressure, this big dome remaining in place across the west, and that's just going to help to build the heat as we head through next week. And this isn't just the Pacific Northwest. This is a good portion of the west. In fact, we've got excessive heat watches that have already been issued for parts of the San Joaquin Valley. From Redding down through Sacramento, it's going to be hot. It's going to be dry. Look at the amount of moisture across the region. It's almost Zippo, right? So the brown colors that you see here, that's the dry air mass. The green is the moisture that we have, and so that's really riding around much of the west and missing you all together. Records likely broken, many of them, all those red dots indicating recording stations that could have records into next week. So temperatures heating up, but also with the heat and dry conditions, remember that dries out the vegetation even further, so be so careful. I know there's so many burn restrictions in place. You know, maybe grilling is not a good idea this weekend, and maybe you want to stick to doing that stuff indoors. Redding, California, 109 degrees. Fresno looking at 105. That would tie the record. Yakima getting close, and there's Medford, 103. That would break the old record here as well. As we head into your Wednesday, Boise, Idaho, 96. They literally had snow in Idaho just a couple of days ago, and now we're talking middle 90s. And Reno, Nevada, temperatures around 95, which would also break a record. So check on your people and make sure everybody's doing okay in the heat next week. Colleen?
Wow, Jacqui, many extremes as we head into the holiday weekend. Well, he's a man with a mission, and he's leveraged social media to spread the message that agriculture can be both fun and rewarding. Our Pattern Climate Unit talks with farmer Tyler Froberg.